Hey everybody, welcome to It's a Metal Thing. Today, sway bars slash anti-roll bars on my 61 Ford Falcon gasser. Let's do it. All right, so today I'm doing something that's probably a little controversial for a gasser. I'm putting sway bar slash anti-roll bar on my bars on my gasser. It's going to be primarily street driven. I was worried about body roll. If you're going to do any serious drag racing or you want to go down the track at a 9-second quarter mile, you need to be able to hook up and it needs to go straight. When you're running a leaf spring car, there's not a lot of adjustments there to facilitate that. If you've got like a coilover car with 4-link on it, you can adjust that and get it straight, right? You can preload one side with the shock, or you can change the length of the bars and put some rear steer in it to get it to go straight. The only way you can really straighten out these cars is to preload one side, whatever side is not, it's not wanting to go, in my opinion. So it's kind of essential. I was going to do that anyway. Another reason too is those front springs are custom made. They're not like a trailer spring. They're not like a speedway spring that's super stiff. They're custom made for this car. They're going to ride right. So inherently there'd be a little bit of body roll, especially with the stiff rear with a sway bar in there or anti-roll bar. The rear springs too, I don't think they're that stiff as well. They're Calvert monoleaf. If you followed along, you would know. And they're not super stiff either. So body roll might be an issue. So the factory, they ran front sway bars forever. You never ran a rear sway bar. If you run a rear sway bar, especially something stiff, and no front sway bar, it can get sketchy. Anti-roll bar, whatever you want to call it. Sway bar, in my opinion, is one of those formed pieces of steel that they heat treat and put spring into. Anti-roll bar is a spline shaft with arms on it that are adjustable. That's just my opinion. So, I'm building anti-roll bar slash sway bars for my 61 Ford Falcon gasser. Let's do it. Sway bar stuff. So I was looking online for sway bars and seeing what people were using. Rhodes, they make a sway bar. It's 1.5 inch, 188 wall chromoly, pretty stiff material. Probably really stiff for the front of this, but it's like going to be like 32 inches long. The longer the tube, the more twist you're going to be able to get out of it. It's more flexible that way. Also, too, my arm's going to be like 2 feet long, so it'll be plenty good, I think, for the front. As far as like a sway bar situation, the back you want stiff. You want to be able to control the launch, especially on a leaf spring car. If you have a coilover car, you can jack weight with the coilover. But to get the weight jack on here, you have to use the anti-sway bar is what it is. So your car's launching and it wants to run off one way, you can jack more weight in that side. It should straighten it out. So it needs to be stiff. This one here too also is going to be shorter, so it'll be stiffer. And so what I ended up coming up with is I was looking around. You can buy shaft already that's spline, but specific lengths. I knew this was going to be custom. I wasn't sure what I was going to need or how I was going to do it. So I was looking around for some spline material that I could use. I found this power takeoff stub, whatever you want to call it. 7.5 inches long. It's a 6 spline power takeoff. So the plan is I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to cut this off. I got to machine this. It doesn't quite fit in here. Just got to take a little material off here. I'll be able to smooth it up, get it in there, drill some holes, plug weld it, weld the outside. This is a coupler that comes. I'm going to cut this in half as well. It came with 5/16 holes that were already in it. I was able to run a 3/8 tap in there. So once I get it on here, I'll be able to lock it in place with the set screws. This will be my main part for my pivot arm that I have to build off of here. So I can make custom lengths. I mean, you don't need 32 spline. 32 spline sexy, but 6 spline, what's wrong with it? Nothing. So it's going to work. So I think total, I'm in probably close to between $450 and $500. So the tubing I bought from Rhodes, they had the best deal on that tube as far as the price and shipping and everything involved. The PTO stuff was cheap, Amazon stuff. I got rod end stuff from Rod End Supply, 3/8 Heim joints with the weld-in bungs. I had the urethane material or the Delrin for the bushings. I didn't have to pay for that. I got $55 in a piece of tubing that I just bought, but I think I'm going to take it back. I'm thinking, I don't think this is going to be strong enough, that 120 wall. I'm gonna see if they have something in that same size as sticker. I haven't checked yet, but I'm getting ready to go over there. So yeah, I think I'm under 500 for everything for 2 sway bars, 2 good quality sway bars. Anything that's comparable to what I'm building is $700-800. So I was able to do it. I can do it. I enjoy doing it, and it's something custom that I did myself, which is what I like. So let's get to it. All right, so underneath here, there's not really a good place to mount an anti-roll bar. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a bar across. I have some 3 by 1.5, 120 wall rectangular tubing. I'm gonna run a piece across here, have it plumb parallel with the world, and then I'll be able to mount off of that. I wanna run the tie rods, the connectors to the top of where the shock mount and the ladder bars are. So it's all kind of in the same spot. I am going to, like I did on the shock here, I took a piece of 1/8" steel and I put a landing pad for it. So that thin sheet metal, I think it'll get work hardened over time. So just to give it a little extra strength, I'm gonna do that. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make 2 pieces to mount over here, tack them in, get my width, and then work on the anti-sway bar mount, or anti-roll bar. That's it. I'll do that next. Rear anti-roll bar mount. So, like I said, I'm going with the 3/16. I cut it 35 and 7/16, which is maybe a little wide, like a 16th wide. I went with the 3/16. Like I said earlier, I was afraid that the 120 wall wasn't going to be strong enough because street driven in and out of parking lots, you know, going around corners and stuff, it's just going to be flexing all the time. And so I was afraid it would crack out. So it weighs a little more, but for the peace of mind, I think it's better. So I had some, this is 4" by 1/8" cold roll flat bar. I cut it 3 inches long to match this tube length, tube height. I have some 3/16 by 2" cold roll flat bar that I cut 3 inches as well. I'm going to tack these 4 pieces together. I'm going to figure out where I want the hole. I'm going to hole saw a 2" hole through all 4 of these pieces, keep them identical so they'll all match up right. And then I'll jig it up. I'll tack these together and weld these little standoffs on each side. Let me do that next. Done. So basically went in the center of the 4x3 that I had. I came down 2 inches, came over 1.5 inches, punched a punch in there. I magic markered it. You can still see some magic marker on there, magic mark it. I took 1 inch or 2 3/8 hole saw and put it on there to scribe this line around there. Drew these straight, went down, cut it in a bandsaw, belt sanded everything. Everything's all square and the same, they're nice. So this is the idea. It's what's gonna happen here. This isn't gonna land exactly on this edge. I'm gonna move it over a little bit so I have a little bit of a valley to weld into, give a little more strength, a little more something to grab a hold of. I can't really weld these up yet because I wanna do it with the tube all the way in. So the tube running all the way across, similar to what I did on the front to keep it straight. So I need to figure out my anti-roll bar length. I need to get underneath there, measure the ladder bar spacing, and then work on these, figure out what I'm gonna do on these. I'm gonna cut these in half, I'm gonna cut this off, cut this in half, finagle it around, see where I'm at, turn it, see what's gonna go on there, and then I'll be able to figure out the length I need on the center line of this thing, so the arm can come off of there. So I'm gonna go mess with these next. All machined up. So I just went out the hole. It was offset when I split it in half. So, because I'm kind of anal like that, I just measured this distance and then made it however wide that was. I don't even know how wide they are, honestly. I just measured off of that. So these go on here, like that. Gives me a little bit of love, because it's smashed right up against there to get this flush. It gives me a little bit of love there. And it's a piece of that tube, and it goes on there, like that. So I machined that edge a little bit so I can get some weld in there, but yeah, happy. So they're all 4 done, ready to go. So now I just need to, again, measure that and center this and get that and do that. So that's next. 28.5, that's the center of the bushing part. So I found the center of the tube, 14.25, set the bushings on here with the stub in it, measured the distance for the anti-sway bar tube, 26 5/8, not that that really matters to you. So this one I tapped in, this one's a little bit loose. I scribed a line on the tube to orient the spline so that they're the same, so that when they're put together, at least the bolt holes are in the same spot, so I want it, top and bottom, so it's easy to access. So I'm going to tack this in with the MIG real quick, just so this won't move around. Then I'm going to drill through the tube into the spline a little bit. I like to get into the spline a little bit. Just put the tip in there, so I can preheat a little bit of that spline, and there's a little bit of weld in there, so it's continuous, so it's kind of get into the spline a little bit itself, or whatever I'm plug welding, so it gets a little better bite. You can plug weld right on the surface there, it's fine, but if you don't get enough heat in there, especially since it's a solid piece, and the tube, all that. So I'm going to tack that in, going to drill some holes through the tube into the spline a little bit, plug weld those, and then I'll TIG weld around the perimeter, and then that part should be done. Weld it up. Probably could have cleaned that better, but it's all right. Plug weld it up, cooled off a little bit. Now I'm gonna slide the bushings on, put the ends on, get a dimension for this 2-inch tube, and then I can start figuring out how I'm gonna make the mount part. Okay, something like that. So this piece of tube that I cut out of the center, that was barely enough. It was like, this is 26, it was like 26 1/4. I couldn't cut it off with a cutoff, so my buddy took it down and put it in the lathe and took a little off each end, which made this thing square, which is nice. So now I can square off this end. I'll take this bushing out, I'll bevel this edge, I'm gonna take a piece of 2-inch tube in here. I'll get rid of this thing for now. Get a piece of 2-inch tube in here, then clamp it together, make sure everything's all squared up. If I square off this end, it should be money. Same thing down here. I'll just tack these two standoffs on. Then I'll be able to move this around, center it up where it needs to be, figure out where this is gonna land. I'll drill 2 5/16 holes into this, which eventually will be 3/8, but the 5/16 is the hole for the tap. I'll drill 2, I'll place it on here, clamp this down, either center punch or drill through, figure out what I'm gonna do. I'll just make a hole through there, get 2 3/8 bolts in there. I can place this in here, get everything all where it belongs, tack it together, take it all apart, fully weld this up, then it should bolt right on. So that's the plan. Something like that. So I have to, it's just sitting on there now. I've got these bolted down, 3/8 bolts. I'm going to probably burn, I'll probably put a clamp on here just to hold everything down. I'll probably burn in a little, 1/2-inch weld on either side all the way around just to lock it in. I beveled the back a little bit, you can see right there. So I put a bevel in the back of that flat bar, so I should be able to get a pretty good weld on there. So then just weld the rest of it up. It's gonna be tricky for me. This is gonna be like some pretty intricate, and I want it to look good. I don't know. My biggest problem is I weld a little hot. I'm used to welding aluminum. It's better to run a little hot. So I don't know. We'll see. I need to practice for the cage. Honestly, I think the cage issues with the cage and the bender and the dies and all that stuff. I think it's just part of the situation that's going to help me do a better job on that. If I can weld on all this stuff that's not as noticeable. People don't maybe critique as much, especially since it's going to be underneath the car. So just practice and build this shit at the same time. So I'm gonna weld this up, see how it turns out. Weld it up. Some of the welds are better than others. Should have cleaned the material better. I was having a hard time, figuring it's cold roll, he's really got to clean this stuff really good. Plus it's still hot. I'm trying not to put too much heat in it, but the technique, being able to go around a curve and just not doing it enough, it's just part of it. You got to do it to be good at it. So unbolt this thing, just take that cross member, get it underneath the car, get it where I want it, square it up, level it up, get it straight, put the shaft in the holder here, and then measure for my arm length, and that's next. All right, working on the arms. So they're gonna be shorter than I thought. These are gonna be 7 1/4 from center to center. I got a little industrial accident here. Number of days without accident, 0. It's not that bad, it's barely scraped. I was splitting this in half with the hole saw, and I'm holding on to one side. So on my safety feature on my drill press is that the belt is loose, so that if it ever wants to grab and rip my arm off, it'll slip, which honestly it saves me a lot. So I was just holding on to this piece with my hand, and we're getting close to the end. I'm thinking, man, what if that thing spins around? I should have a glove on or something. And then as soon as I thought that, came around. So I got to do that again. I got to do 2 more pieces. I'll get down there, I'll put them in the press and put a little bend in it, and then another bend over here. And then this is probably just gonna be welded up solid. I'm gonna use 3/16 here. I'll probably use 1/8 on the top and the bottom. Take them all up. I was gonna try to be tricky and put some holes in it, but the arm's so short. I'll probably have to do something for sure on the front there because that arm's gonna be so long. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do on that, but. So yeah, I'm just gonna taper these down and make a piece that kicks over. So just a lot of figuring and cutting and shaping. So that's coming up. Sway bar arms. I took the bar out so that I could index the arm. I drew a line on the shaft and tried to line the splines up as best I could, but I'm not sure if it's exact. Obviously the arms are adjustable. It doesn't matter if they're a little bit cocked, but it just looks like ass. We don't want that. So I'm going to put these on here. I'm going to tack this arm on. And I'm going to go ahead. This is my little spacer here. I'm going to tack these all together. I'm going to go down and cut the extra off that I don't want in the bandsaw. Then I'll come back and I'll box in the top and the bottom, and I'll remove that eventually. I'm going to drill the hole when it's all said and done. I got plenty of room here for the hole to be. So I'll figure out where the hole needs to be, and then I'll drill it then once it's all together. So first things first, tack these on and get it all kind of tacked together. All tacked together, put this little piece of tube down here so I can cut this. Laid this out, we ended up going to inch wide, which is basically the outside diameter of the heim. I'm not gonna run these. I'll probably use them just for putting it together, but eventually I'm gonna get these are junk. Should have known. Yeah, so laid it out with my magic marker, put the magic marker on here, scrap some lines, just basically making a taper, and then this will go straight. The hole is gonna end up somewhere back here a little bit, so it looks odd, they're oversized, but the hole is gonna be somewhere around where those lines are, if you can see them, so somewhere around here. I'll do that after I get it all mocked up, and I might even fill it first and then do the hole at the last part, so we'll see. So gonna go cut these. Trimmed up, shaped up. Yeah, so I need to get underneath, put this in, get underneath, and mark where the hole's gonna be, just so I have an idea what's happening down this end. I got some 1/8 inch cold roll flat bar I'm going to trim up and fit in here. I welded this prior to tacking it all together. I'm gonna weld in here as much as I can prior to boxing it up. It needs the strength. So I'm gonna weld that up, mark that, figure out where the hole is gonna be, get some cold roll flat bar, trim it up, get it fit in here and tack it all together. Arms are done. All welded up. It's all right, looks all right. Drilled the holes, rounded the end, heim joints. I got to get them underneath there, put them in place, get the heim joints on there, figure out what I'm gonna do for a tab, and then make the link. But I don't have any tubes, so I need to run, get some tube. I have the weld in end bung ends, and I'll go find some tube that'll work for that. And then I'll get the backside finished up. Tie rods, anti-rollbar link, I don't know what you call them, done. So the brackets are made. I needed to be able to adjust the bar. And so I could probably put a little bit of a flat spot on each side of this, but I'm not sure how much tension it's gonna be under or what kind of load it's gonna take to make that happen. I went and got some 5/8 nuts and drilled them out to 3/4 and plug welded them on there. So I have something to adjust with. I won't have to do that on the front because there's don't be any preloading on there, but on the back there will be. So now that it's all together, I'm gonna stick them up underneath there, bolt them on, and see how it looks, see what's going on. Rear anti-roll bar done. Just tacked in for now. I'm gonna leave it that way. I'll weld it fully later on. Just double check some stuff on it, but I think it's good. I'm happy with the way it turned out. So now I gotta finish up the front arms. That's next. So let's do that. Front sway bar. So a few issues. The springs, the steering arm, the steering box, everything's in the way. So the only really way to do it is to go through the frame rail. So I'm going to make a couple holes, saw holes in here, 2-inch diameter, put a piece of tube in there, machine a bushing for that shaft to ride through. I'm going to run a 2x4, same tubing as this, 2x4 3/16 wall cross member in here. This cross member is going away, except for this top part for the hood latch and everything to be mounted to, and the radiator and stuff support and all that, just to kind of tie it together. I'll probably reinforce with a piece of flat bar or something across there if I need to. But the reason I want to move this is there's going to be a intercooler up here. Vibrant makes a 27 and a 24-inch 6x6 or 6x4.5. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet. Vertical flow intercooler that I want to put in here, and I need airflow. So I'm going to move that crossmember back as far as I can. That's going to put me like within a 1/4 inch of the steering box, which should be fine. It'll be plenty strong. It'll make the front end stronger than the sheet metal thing, although it is kind of tied in with the whole body part, which is plenty strong, but this will just be better. I need to do some things to this. This is just tacked on the steering box. I just tacked things on until the end, and this is part of the reason why. So I need to make provisions for the alternator to be serviced. So I need to be able to make it so it can come off. So I already notched this out here, but I need to remove some material out of this thing so that I can be able to slide this off of this stud. I could probably remove the stud and put a bolt in there, which would probably be better, honestly, for the whole situation, but this needs to be consistent through here. So at the very least, I need to, just for aesthetics, I need to cut this off. Plus too, I can grind a little bit on this corner here. The radiator hose fits in here, and there's like a 1/4 inch gap, but if I could just clearance it a little bit more and make it easier. So if I need to cut this off, just cut the tacks off. I'm gonna unbolt this. Also too, I was gonna run a bolt through the frame for this mount here, but since this is so thick and it's plenty meat, I'm gonna just drill this hole out and drill and tap the metal. So unbolt this, take this off, do the modifications I need, get it welded up, because once this cross member's in here, there's no way we'll be able to weld in here. So I'm gonna do that now. Cross member cut, just sitting in there, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I think I'm about a 1/4 inch from the steering box where I'm gonna run. I need the flow to go through here for the intercooler. So it's stout, it's 2x4, 3/16, same as the frame rail. But I figure since I'm about to punch a 2-inch hole in the center of my frame rail, 4-inch rail, and I'm only a couple inches away from the front shackle, I need to strengthen it. So when I weld this crossmember in, it'll add strength and rigidity to the frame. Plus too, I don't know if they're gonna come all the way up here. The roll cage bars will come up here too. But yeah, so I'm going to figure out where this is gonna land exactly. I'm going to measure the frame, make sure it's squared up where I want it, mark the frame, and go ahead and punch the 2-inch hole through the frame for the bushing. That's next. Houston, we have a problem. That radiator is hitting about 3/4 of an inch off. So I need to take like 1 inch out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and notch that. I just tacked it in. I was looking at it thinking, man, I don't know. Because I remember this was getting kind of close to the nipple was getting close to the steering box, and I was thinking, dang, man, we're above that now. So shoot. All right, punt. So I'm gonna go ahead and hack up that crossmember before I put it in, cap it off, weld it up, grind it all smooth. Do that now. Welded up, straightened up, beautified, ready to go in. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the car where it's gonna go, mark it, and prepare to saw some holes in there. Marked up the frame for where the holes are gonna go. I use a fat magic marker. It's almost like a chem dye. I stole this from another dude off of YouTube. So yeah, it's all laid out. I'm gonna end up with like a 1/4 inch gap from the steering box. Measurement should be straight and good. I'm going to drill from both sides, so I'm not gonna try to go all the way through. I'm gonna come from this side, come from that side, try to keep it as straight as I can. Pre-drill, put a pilot hole where that mark is so that the hole saw goes in there. I have another plan for the tube that goes inside the hole for the bushing, a way to keep that straight. I'll show you that when I do it. Holes are cut, tube is cut to the length. I cut it 1/4 inch short, so I have an 1/8 inch lip on each side here. So I'm leaving it whole for now. The reason I'm leaving it in one piece is so it stays straight. As good as I am, which I'm not, the holes could have been off and this thing would have been crooked in there. So ensure that it's straight, perfectly straight now. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this on each side, on the outside. Before I do that, though, I want to make sure my frame is level. I don't want to twist it. So make sure everything's all level and straight. I'm going to weld the outsides, then I'm going to cut the middle out. I'll probably get in with a cutoff wheel on this one, but I'm probably have to get in with a Sawzall on this one. So that way I'm sure that the frame's going to be straight. The cross member is going over this, not over this, but over the sway bar that's inside this. This is 2-inch, my cross member is 2-inch. So the sway bar will run right through the center of the cross member. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and weld the outsides and then cut that out and weld the insides. Okay, the bar's in, the ends are on. I'm going to basically do the same thing I did in the back, but a lot longer. But also too, I'm gonna reverse the angle. So the other one I had straight coming off of the backside, but there's no room for any hardware. It's awful close to the frame. So I'm gonna do the same situation. I'm gonna kick it, but I'm gonna kick the backside in to meet the front side so that I get that gap off the frame a little bit. And then also too, it won't be so close to this when I build the tab off of here. So it'll be more suitable for a situation where I can mount on the front of the axle and not interfere or get close to that. So I'm gonna start building these up. Took the shaft out of the car, set it on the table, indexed these so that they're the same, marked them just in case there's a little bit of difference. Took the spacer that I used on the back ones to get the 1/2-inch gap that I need for the heim joint. Gonna take these down, mark them up, put a break in them so that it comes out a little bit, maybe 2 inches, and then come down and to the 1/2-inch for the heim joint. Anti-roll bar. So yeah, my welds are better, getting better. I changed up I took bigger bites with the torch, so I took a bigger step. I came out of the puddle more and didn't cook them as much. I mean, are they perfect? No, but are they way better? Yes. So just practice, practice, practice. So I need to radius these. I need to weld this, but I'm not gonna do the final setup on this till I get the shocks. This might have to be cut back a little bit. The shock's gonna go right here, right on top of the axle. And I'm not sure where this is gonna land in relation to the shock. And I don't wanna do like 2 separate brackets. If I have to, I'll do one bracket that incorporates part of one. So like the inside of the shock bracket and the outside of the roll bar, anti-roll bar bracket might be the same bracket with like 2 holes in it. And then I'll continue in and out. I don't think I can get them both lined up. Plus the bracket for the shock is gonna be a lot wider, a lot bigger, right, where the eyelet goes. So that would be odd, or I have to do some weird spacer in there or something. So I think I might do outside shock bracket, inside the shock bracket with 2 holes, and then inside of the anti-roll bar. That's the plan anyway. I can't do that till I get my shocks. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know. Sway bars, anti-roll bars on a gasser, anti-roll bars for sure. So in my opinion, you need an anti-roll bar on a drag car, especially a leaf spring car. And running a rear anti-roll bar on the street with no front anti-roll bar is not good, kind of sketch. So I mean, that's why forever manufacturers did front sway bars and no rear sway bar. So anyway, the springs are going to be softer on the front than what you would normally run on a gasser. I've had these custom made. If you've watched my videos, you'll know how it all went down. So there'd be a little bit of body roll. The back springs, they're covered mono leafs. Again, if you followed along, you would know that. So I don't think it's going to be super stiff. I don't want it to be around like a buckboard like you would get from maybe Speedway or something where they run a trailer spring. This is a longer spring, and it's going to have more movement, more play. And I was concerned that it would get kind of tippy and floppy, so that the anti-roll bar in the front is going to be a good thing. So let me know what you think. I mean, is it stupid? Is it cool? I don't know. Let me know. I'm going to write this video up here. If you like the video, subscribe. And thanks for watching.